We're working on Abhyasa, a word that means reverential practice with devotion over a long period of time. So the first thing I want to share with you is the idea that there are psychotropic plants, divine inebriants, called it entheogens, the flesh of the gods. They bring love revelation into your life, even though psychology may discredit it and think that if you use the drug or a chemical to have the insight, it invalidates the truth of the insight, which I don't think is true. Nonetheless, yoga is its own kind of divine inebriant, and it changes your chemical composition with headstand and breath control and diet, but that somehow seems more natural. All right, next step. Don't worry. Worrying won't stop the bad stuff from happening. It just stops you from enjoying the good stuff. Yeah, if you have a negative mental attitude, you can't even take advantage of whatever breaks might be sent your way because you're not looking that well, not looking that way. So we know that worry increases what they call your cortisol levels, which is stress levels. So yoga, the first thing it does, it helps promote a much more balanced response to the stress. And stress is nothing but adaptation to change. And since things are changing all the time, it behooves us to learn how to adapt to it. Now, your brain releases one of these four chemicals, and then you feel good: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphin. And I often say that in classes that I teach, I try to give everybody a dose. A dose means when you first come in, I usually have some nice music playing in the background because rhythm gets dopamine going. And then, before people were so skittery about hugging people, and I don't just mean here for the pandemic, I mean in terms of whether or not people have ulterior motives and just wanting kind human touch. Anyway, when you hug the people who you see, who you care about, and the regulars in the class become really good friends, and so they do that like their family, the oxytocin gets involved, the feel-good chemical. You have to hold it for at least 20 seconds, they say. And then you do the class, and the class helps you work at your challenge level, and that's where the endorphins get secreted. And then, of course, the relaxation, the shavasana at the end of the class is where the serotonin kicks in. And so each one of these works in a different way to tweak you with a good feeling, but they all need slightly different environments to fire. So your personality changes as a result of doing yoga, and it's not just something that you're going to do in the future. It's not like planting a tree whose fruit you won't see. When you practice it, it's a happy hour for your brain chemicals, and you do that every day, we hope. Now, one of the things I like to get across to people is the 7 factors of enlightenment. And here's Thich Nhat Hanh, a contemporary Buddhist practitioner, to remind us. The first is investigation. These are the first 3 arousing factors that awaken a certain kind of aspect of your mind, and curiosity is part of that. And then energy, you got to sustain it. You got to put something into it. It's empty unless you put something into it. You can't take anything out. And then rapture, that feeling of being held in awe, fascinated by the thing, like seeing an oasis if you're dying in the desert. That image, it creates such a longing to experience that. You're totally wrapped up in it, right? Those are the arousing faculties, right? Rapture, energy, and investigation. Now, the 3 calming or pacifying faculties are tranquility, a certain kind of calmness or peace of mind, equanimity, a certain kind of evenness or balance of mind, and then concentration, an intense focus of mind. Those are the 3 pacifying qualities: concentration, equanimity, and tranquility. And altogether, they become mindfulness. Mindfulness is what draws them together and balances them. Mindfulness being defined as the awareness of what it is that's happening without clinging to the positive, condemning the negative, or ignorantly identifying yourself as what you're seeing. So if your mind is full, like this adult, they can't see anything other than the flowers and the sun, which the kid directly experiences because they're not thinking. They're just mindful of it, but they don't have their mind full of stuff. Now, a glimpse of life is enough to make it meaningful and worthwhile, so you can bear witness that all may believe, but you have to have the environment that helps you see through. Maybe there's something beyond on the other side, as if our perception is veiled in some way from a deeper truth. And yoga helps us uncover that truth. Everything will change when your desire to move on exceeds your desire to hold on. Oh, gotta let go, gotta let go. So if we're going to be free to be whoever we choose to be, even if you have a bad yoga class, you meet a bad yoga teacher, never say never. Right? You never know what's going to happen. You have to hang in there and get ready to let go. Now, part of that, of course, is having like a prayerful attitude and having a direct experience between yourself and the spirit. The spirit doesn't speak in words or even in English, but it understands receptive devotion. It understands what you bring from your heart. And it's a vibration. You don't have to say it in any words or in language, because that's what spirit perceives, the vibration. Now, yoga certainly says not only should you practice, but you're supposed to study. Swadhyaya comes after tapas. And if you read enough, all the texts are precise and unanimous about this. And that is, you got to give up your power to swing with the whole thing. That's Ishvara Pranidan. How are you going to surrender and not hold on to the little me and try to run the whole thing with your little generator when there are other forces around you that are stronger, and we'd be better if we had that as an ally. And we risk it at our own peril if we choose not to turn our attention to that and surrender to it. Now, if we do this, we understand the difference between the spiritual plague that's on the street and the spiritual Disneyland that's in our heart. And you have to keep this animated. It's in your imagination. That is the inner realm that you have control over. And when you practice, one of the things that the practice does is it helps free you from secular distraction, from peer pressure. And if you put the, don't interrupt me sign on your door, then no accidental interruption will come in. This is where you can divest yourself of any kind of armor and shield that you need to carry around with you when you're in society, and you can work on the sanest, the wisest, the funniest, the most compassionate one you got. Because that's what you're going to bring back as a gift to contribute to the world after your practice is done. Ça va? And now I love Buckminster Fuller, inventor of the geodesic dome, to do more and more with less and less until eventually you can do everything with nothing. Sounds like a Taoist, huh? Total non-interference. But we just say do more with less. And in yoga it means how do you do the poses with less or out strain or restlessness. That's the sukham shtiram part, right? Stable and alert intelligence, motionless position held for a long time without any effort. Asana is non-movement. And so I love to see my teacher leading everybody in headstand. And although you make the effort, the teachers do but point the way, show the way. You got to make the effort, right? All the teachers say, right? I can only show you how I am a peaceful warrior. I can't show you the way to the peaceful warrior. You have to just observe me as I model excellence and then go down and do it likewise. And then you learn to do things on the spot. Don't wait. A vital person vitalizes. So rather than putting things off, you got to be like TNT, today, not tomorrow. And then things burst open for you. And once you learn to do that, you realize I was born rich. I have a gift already to give, rather than thinking I'm a nobody and I have to become rich, and I only define that by my 401k or the amount of money I have. And then we get into experiencing your emotions. I love this. Jesus wept. That is the shortest verse in the New Testament. In the men's work that I do, we often say the longer the sentence, the less the feeling. And very often our words hide what we don't want others to know about ourselves. So one of the things I think yoga does, it helps you bottom line your understanding of your feelings, because every moment of consciousness, as the Buddha says, is a moment of feeling. We're glad or sad or mad or bad, feeling bad or scared, or feeling had. So communicate directly from your feelings. You don't have to make anybody fish around for what's going on. And then remember, a little mantra, do yoga a little, change a little. Do yoga a lot, change a lot. So you've been warned. Yoga has been known to create health and happiness. It could be hazardous to the part of you that disallows well-being. So I hope you practice a little bit more. And then if you do, you'll get to your final understanding that practice is direct experience. So everything becomes direct experience. We learn by example and by direct experience because there are real limits to the adequacy of verbal instruction. And so How do we end it? Well, we take it inside and hit the mat again.